Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is in your area. Okay, so we're gonna pick back up where we left off, and we're gonna explain how we were able to get that capital G. So if you turn to Second Chronicles chapter 31, verse 20, you will see where we got that capital G. So let me explain. Okay, so now on the chart, there's two sides of the chart here. See, so um, you have the lowercase hand, and then you have the higher case hands, and then so the lowercase hand. Let's just say the lowercase hand deals in the physical realm because we were discussing that. Okay, and so we have the higher case um, hand, which is the higher case G, dealing in a spiritual realm. But still, how um, were we able to come up with that higher case G? Okay, Second Chronicles chapter 31, verse 20 explains when you're doing what you're supposed to do, you automatically, no matter what it looks like, put yourself up in the right hands. So it's always important to make the best decisions so that no matter what it looks like, you will be up in the higher case letter G. Okay? That was how we came up with the capital G. The capital G comes about by doing what you're supposed to be doing and what is the right thing to do. Now, I'm not really for sure to say that about, this scripture as far as my own life because I've never taken anyone's life before. But I know there's been time, there was a time where um, a family member of mine had a machete put on them, and the person that had the machete on his family member, I remember wanting, to take that person's life, you know. And matter of fact, when that person did die, like uh, decades later, you would think that um, I would have been like, oh, well, oh my God, really? Well, how? And to this day, I really don't know how that person died. I just remember being upset that I wasn't the one to take them out. Remembering how they did my family member. So when I heard that they had died, I was like, oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I was actually sorry that I wasn't the one, that took them out because it lingered in my spirit that I wasn't able to take them out when they did my family member the way that they did it. And just so happened that the floors were so squeaky that even if I would have tried to like go and attack, that my cover would have been blown. So the only thing that I could do was run out the front door and go get help. And that's what I did. I ran out the front door and got help. But what I really wanted to do was, you know, do I really have to say? And so that's just it stayed with me. And so to hear it decades later, like four decades later, was it 4 decades later? It was three and a half. To hear 3.5 decades later that person died, the only thing that I can think about was that, dang, I wasn't the one to take him out, even though I've never taken a life. So in this case, it was good for Hezekiah. You know what I'm saying? It's always good to be able to defend yourself when you have to defend yourself, if that's what it comes to. And that's just it, because you don't want to live life or die in your grave regretting that you didn't defend yourself, or like me, to hear somebody had passed away and then to be like, well, dang, well, I don't know which was worse, uh, to hear that the person had died or be upset that I wasn't the one to take them out, you know? Because every time, even now, I still get upset. I still get upset about it. But the only thing that I could do was just run for help. Well, anyway, we kind of got off the subject. So that's how you know you got that capital G. Okay. With the capital G is you're fully functioning. You're fully functioning in a capital G. You're doing what's right. You're doing what's right. So if you're doing what's right, guess what? The enemy's eyes cannot see you. The enemy eyes cannot sense you. The enemy cannot even enter you. Because remember, the clock was between 4:30, and then it had that arrow going up to the 8 and the 9, So at 4:30, there's a metamorphosis that take place. And every day at 4:30, matter of fact, it's one about to take place soon now, because it's about to hit 4:30 right now. So at 4:30, God's eyes, his eyes are on his people. And at 4:30, the enemy is trying to get into God's people. Those that are in God's eyes, the enemy cannot enter. I don't know if y'all remember that story I told you about when I quit smoking cigarettes. I felt a spirit hitting my chest, and it was hitting my chest. And then after the spirit was hitting my chest for so many times, it said, I miss you. I guess it was 4:30 at that time. I never even thought about the time of day it was. But this is just something that happens in a spiritual realm without us even knowing it. So at 4:30, if y'all, it's good to get y'all prayer in at least by 4:30. If y'all know y'all doing wrong, y'all doing bad, at least try to get y'all prayer in by 4:30. At least try to get your prayer in by 4:30, because if you don't, you're still gonna be putting yourself in enemy's way. And idols, they say idle hands is the devil workshop. So at least try to get your prayer in by 4:30, because automatically, whether you're being good or whether you're being bad, these forces are still taking place. So at 4:30, the enemy tried to get in, and it was only to get able to get into the lowercase g, because the lowercase g wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing, whereas the capital G was doing what it was supposed to be doing. It was in the right hand, in the right position, and focus, under in God's eyes, in God's sight. God could see. God could see. So this happens every single day. Matter of fact, shoot, this would be good for me to do, to make sure I get my prayer in every day, at least by 4:30. So when the enemy do try to do a nest inside my spirit, that it can't get in and do that nest, take rest inside of me. Okay, so now we're gonna be moving, and that was just the lad to pick up from where we picked off. So we're gonna be moving to still same kind of scenario, but we're gonna be going into the spiritual realm aspect of it. And so I'm gonna just share a little something with you all too that I discovered. And so if there are any scientists out there that want to see if this theory is correct, please feel free to do so. So Now, have you ever wondered why a tree just stay in one spot and don't go anywhere? My conclusion that I came up with is that a tree stays in the same spot without going anywhere is because the tree is full inside. It's full. It is full inside. If you're full, if you feel like you already have everything in you that you need and everything in you, and you're full, your spirit is full, your mind, your body, soul, spirit, all that is full in you, what's the use? What's the use for you even making a move? Because you're already fully equipped. You're fully equipped. You feel full. The first thing, what do you do when the first thing you feel full? You want to lay back on the couch or either go straight to bed, go to sleep, because you're full. You're not going nowhere. You're full. So, to me, that's why a tree is a tree. A tree is a tree because it is full in the inside. It's full. Now, a hollow tree, sooner or later, the thing is going to fall over because the thing is hollow inside. Okay, so now we kind of went off the subject. That was just a little something I want to throw out there. So today, we're going to be doing a follow-up still. We're still talking about that lowercase and highercase g. And so we done already talked about as far as the physical realm. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in the physical realm, then you're in that capital G. Okay, now remember again, before I start to read, make sure you get your prayer in by 4:30 so the enemy can't come in and nest. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're coming today from Proverbs chapter 3, verse 14. Surely he scorns the scornful, but gives grace to the humble. Ah, humbug. Ah, humbug. What should you say when somebody else come talking about somebody else to you? Ah, you can say ah, humbug. What could you say when somebody is attacking you? Ah, humbug. You could say that. And what are you saying? You're not really saying anything. You're not saying a word because at least that spooky ghost has sense enough to know that the law, this law, not only exists for those that are talking against you, it also exists for those that are crying about your mishaps. Now, if it's something that you need to discuss with authorities, then yeah. But if it's something that, say if your friends say that he or she is going to call you back and they don't call you back, and you be like, yeah, well, such said they was going to call me back and then call me back. And so you all bothered by it. So by you talking about it, you're just rehashing negative energies. So what we're going to do is we're not going to talk about stuff that we don't want to remember. I don't want to remember it, so I'm not going to talk about it. What I am going to do, I'm going to write it down. If it feels like, okay, so this is something I need to talk to somebody about, But 9 times out of 10, whoever you talk to it about is not going to listen to, because my mom used to say you ain't got no friends. So it's very, very important about who you pick to talk about it too, if you feel like you need to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, God, he's going to have vengeance, on that person. If they say that they're going to call you back and they don't call you back, and they intentionally doing you wrong. I'm not saying maybe something happened, something came up, but if they intentionally don't standing you up like that, then God's going to deal with them. He can deal with them that day or the next day, or he can deal with them a year later. But sometime within that year, he's going to deal with them. But guess what? He'll deal with them even quicker if you write it down, he would deal with them even quicker if you just write it down. Not only that, you can write it down and you can burn it up in your cauldron. And then, two, you ain't got to wait no whole year if you write it down and burn it up in your cauldron, because he can deal with them that day by 4:30, because they're not no capital G. They can't do you that way and still remain a capital G. They cannot stay in the G unit. They cannot stay in the D unit. They're going to have to go down to the double G. Yes, the double G. The double G. The lowercase g. Okay, so now, um, let's see if y'all were listening. It's not always good to complain about when somebody do you wrong either, or go behind to somebody's back and talk about somebody else, you know, because that takes you out of the capital G, no matter what side the spectrum is. Now, again, if it has something that the authority needs to be aware of, that's something different. So what you want to do, you want to take it to your father. Because to not take it to your father, then you taking yourself out of the capital G, your own self. And we don't want to do that. Okay, so now y'all stay with me now. I'm gonna go through my notes, and then we're gonna discuss. Okay, here we go. This has something to do with, I was reading today. I'm gonna read it. This comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 11. Knowing, therefore, the terror of the Lord, we persuade men, but we are well known to God, and I also trust are well known in your consciousness. So you don't want to talk about bad stuff because you don't want to remember bad stuff. So why talk about something that you don't want to remember? Just write it down and, you know, put it in a book, or you can write it down and burn it in the cauldron and know that God is going to deal with them. Because if I waste my time talking about a whole bunch of stuff that I don't want to remember, by the time I get old, I'm going to have Alzheimer's. I'm going to have Alzheimer's in the spiritual realm if I'm sitting up talking about a whole bunch of stuff. Because who wants to remember about how somebody done did somebody wrong? That's just a whole bunch of dead weight. And you know what? It's a waste of time. And even getting angry, it's a waste of time. Have you ever noticed when you're angry how time, it flies by? You know what? Time is an example. Even when you're angry, time go by fast, and you don't even know it. Cause you can be fussing, and it seemed like 15 minutes to you. You look at your clock, a whole hour then went by. So even when you're having good times, time go by fast. Even when you have bad times, time go by fast. But the thing about it is, you're not aware. You're not aware that you've wasted this time. You're aware that you're wasting time when you're having fun. You know, out with your friends, going to the movies, you know, stuff like that. You're aware. You're aware that you're wasting your time. But when you're angry, you be like, "Wow, shoot, did I really waste that much time complaining?" So that's time, memories. So let's try to talk about stuff that we would like to remember. How about that? I won't talk about it unless I want to remember it. How about that? And the things that I would rather forget, let's just write them down, put them in a piece of paper, or either, like I said, get into and burn them. Okay. So that was that note. Let me look at this and see if there's anything else I can share on here. Okay. So we're dealing with, okay, now we're dealing with light. We're dealing with light. So when you're in a lowercase g, that's you're dealing with darkness. Darkness. And then the higher case G, you're in a light. God can actually see you. So remember to get that, have your prayer in before 4:30. If you know that you ain't right, you know. My mom used to always tell me that you don't want to put yourself in the hand of the angry God. So, at least try to give yourself a fighting chance by having to get that prayer in, because these forces are taking place each day, whether we know it or not. They're still going to take place. They're still going to try to get into your system. So we can either be, uh, you know, again, just try to get your prayer in, because I don't want to say something to discourage anybody. You know, try to get your prayer in before 4:30 today. If you know you just ain't right, that way you ain't giving the enemy a home. So let me go through. Um, okay. So know this, I'm gonna keep to myself. I did a little thing on that. And I basically shared it already. And so some things that you just can't really share, because some things are just like so personal when you taking your time to actually do the mental work, and you realize, well, if I share this, they could like kind of turn it around and flip it, to like criminal minds, and so that I can't. Okay, so I see something here that's talking about the lowercase. That's what I want to discuss. I want to more so not talk about the metamorphosis of the different. Well, it's dealing with the letter E. I guess I could talk about it, and then you have the letter I here as well. Okay, um, it has something to do with a higher case G. So the higher case G would connect with the E, and then the lowercase g would connect with the I. Okay, I shared that much with you. Now, you would have to distinguish yourself. What exactly does that mean? What does, we went through that. So, in other words, I'll give you a clue. Who or what do you want to be? Okay. Do you want to be on top, or do you want to be on the bottom? Who? So that was what I was like, well, I don't know if I should share, but I saw that E in there. And so that E was where we left out last time. Because what happened was that E came in out of nowhere. Remember that E just came in out of nowhere? So I'm like, well, doesn't the E supposed to be on the double G side? How did the E get up on the side with the eight? When it was on the other side with the 5 o'clock shadow. Well, the E, when you're doing right, it automatically connects with that capital G. And that I, when you're doing wrong, it connects with the double lowercase g. Okay, so I'm gonna go over and see my notes. Okay, so remember I was telling you, I don't know, let me see. Let me go back. And I'm explaining. We're going into metamorphosis now. So now we're at Proverbs chapter 3, verse 14. Surely he scorns the scornful, but gives grace to the humble. Now you look at here, at the word gives, you see I, that I is coming after that lowercase g, but see, the I um, is a stem from A, is a stem from A. And so that A, I'm going to tell you about the A, okay? Now I'm going to just go over my notes right here and then I'm explaining to you. The sound of a lowercase a means that the A is at the third syllable. Precepts for handling of hands, inward or outward, equals an altered note. Okay? So, again, I was talking about complaining. So, when these things happen, it and we want to complain about it, it can also take us out of the note, the tune that we're supposed to be singing. There's a certain tune that we're supposed to be singing. We shouldn't be harking about yesterday. We shouldn't be doing that. So you have the word I, um, uh, I mean the letter I after that G, and then you have the VS. Well, now this I is inward. It's inward. And so a lot of things that when you write it down and you let God handle it, that it can withstand the test of time. It could withstand the test of time, you know, and everything. And so let me see. So that's what we want to do. We want to withstand the test of time and everything, and how we doing that? We stick to our tune, you know. Um, I was talking about uh the dodo bird, the dodo bird. In other words, there's certain, now you know that the birds, they live in trees and and animals and everything, but humans, we actually live in the things we say, or the things we acknowledge and everything. So God don't like it when somebody doing you wrong, and and so something like if you're bothered by a splinter, God sees it the same way he would see a bullet shot. So if that little splinter is bothering you, to him, he's bothered. He's bothered. So he's handling it. And so we have to make sure that we undergo the steps in the spiritual realm to not take us out of our tune, because um, a lot of times folks, they would turn it against, depending on who you're talking to about it. But again, why waste your time talking about something that you don't want to remember? Okay, let me go some more over the notes. Oh, what did I do? Did I lose it? So let me see. Oh, here it is. Okay, so yeah, so automatically that E connects um, with that G, and then that I with the lowercase g. So I'm going over some more of my notes and see if anything I could share. So no, that I would have to actually do some really going to a different scripture, or that would take time for dissection. Okay, yeah. So here it is. See, remember I was telling you that A gives birth to the I. Now listen to what I wrote about A. Um, Now, what did I just read about the last time? Okay, I was sure like there's something else I wrote about the letter A. A. To keep or not, give or not to give. You see that? Yeah. So, and then here's something else about the alphabet A. The A is timeful, necessary. It pulls back or thinks ahead. Compound meter. A compound meter. That's what I put here. I put that it's a compound meter. So I would actually have to go to the music book. So in other words, it dealing with mental peace, you know. Um, so again, do I really want to hark over bad times that I don't want to remember? No. Okay, so let me see. Let's see, go some more notes. And I ain't really read. I'm just going over these notes because y'all, I want to make sure y'all very clear on these alphabets. I want to make very, very clear. Okay, so that G come from the triad family. Well, I'm just saying family, like, triad. It's a triad. It's a triad because the nature of that G, it could either go things could either get better or things could get worse. You know, but you want things to get better for you, even when folks is trying to make it worse for you. Stick to your tune, whatever have you, and stick to doing what's right. And so that triad. So a triad. I'm gonna read what I have for the triad. Triad. Letters and notes designed for high and low pitch sounds to see if you care to listen or not. So, there you go, a triad. So when you're in a conversation with someone, the triad would be, is this something that I want to talk about? Because I don't even want to remember or give myself any energy to it. So when we hold conversations, we have to remember a triad is what you want to give yourself to in the spiritual realm. The triad. What do you want to give yourself to in the spiritual? Do you want to give yourself to the light, which is the capital G, or do you want to give yourself to the double G or the lowercase g, which is the darkness? Okay. And so, luckily, that triad, you know, give you a chance to at least decide. Triad, you know. And so, yeah, this triad. So that G is in a triad family because things could go one way or the other. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. Okay, same thing I was saying. Consonant letters used with triads to reverse meanings are the alphabets, as well as you can either connect or disconnect. It can either cause a disconnection or a connection. But the thing about it is, do you want to stay connected to the light, or do you want to disconnect into darkness? So yeah, the triad. So which one of your alphabets are which one of your alphabets are from the triad family? And then two, um, are all the alphabets from the triad family? I can identify some that are actually from the triad family. And then so too, which alphabets or letters that can lead you or take you to one of the triad families? Because that U, the letter U, will automatically take you to one of the triad family, depending on what is actually ahead in the future realm. So I don't think the triad have anything to do with the past. No, I don't think the triad has anything to do with past focuses. I think that the triad has to do with all focus what's up ahead, but it's up to you on how you want to choose on where you want to end up. Do you want to end up at the bottom, which leads to the double G, or do you want to end up at the top, leading to the capital G that connects to the E, or the lowercase g that connects to the I? Now, if you choose the one that connects to the I, then that takes you out of focus because you're no longer in the MC square. The MC square is where the capital G and the E is because you're in the light. But to put yourself with the double G, then it's like, well, it's like one of Prince's songs that I can remember. He said, well, Gregory seemed just like a ghost. Gregory seemed just like a ghost. That those of you know what I'm talking about. It's like with some people, it's like, okay, the outside world in your home should have a different state. You should leave the outside, and then the inside stays inside. So the capital GE is the inside, and the lowercase g I, the double G with the I, that's the outside. And it's like, and if you don't do that, then it's like, well, it's to say, well, it's like, how are you any different? How are you even different from so and so? You're no different from so and so. So why should a so and so even stay, with you if you're no different? So there comes a point in time where you draw the line, and that triad is where you draw the line, because now you're dealing with your focus, and you have to say, well, this can end up somewhere, you know. So that's the notes from the triad. So let's see what other notes I have here dealing with and